And with screenplay, you end up with two parts of writing. You basically have sight and sound. You don't have feelings, you no emotions whatsoever. The descriptions, as you said, need to be very brief. And basically, they look at one page of a screenplay as a minute in a movie. So it's 120 pages or less to be a 2-hour movie, is the way they look at it. Any of the sounds, you have to be explicit of what you want there, but very briefly. And it was an interesting style of writing, and I took that screenwriting class. I worked with Cynthia Whitcomb, who's president of Willamette Writers. She has a class that's up at Portland State.
Oh, okay.
And she's just an awesome instructor, and I love her energy and passion for it. She has a larger library in movies. Saw that not too long ago. But it was an interesting process to see how much tighter it made my writing from Koenig's Wonder to my next novel. And it's kind of an interesting switch, but I'm excited.
You know, I like what you say about that, and it really is true, because in a novel, nobody's telling you it's got to be 120 pages or 200 or even 800. If you want to write a sprawling 3-part series that's 2,400 pages, you can do that. If you can get somebody to wade through it and keep it compelling, then that's fine.
Right.
And you don't. It's not that imposed discipline of a structure like a screenplay is.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to film, a 4-hour movie.
No, well, they do, but not too many people sit through it.
Exactly. So now you said with the Red Boots, your new one, that you kind of worked backwards. You did the screenplay first.
I did the screenplay. That was the story I wrote when I took the class with Cynthia. I was actually taking a trip cross country to go see my parents back in Illinois. They were moving from their house that they lived in and built actually for 40 years. And they were moving to a sort of a senior high-rise apartment type of situation, so it was a major change for them. But I stopped at a friend's in Dallas, or the Dalles, and every time I go there, she always has to take me to Dufur, Oregon. And it's just this small place south of the Dalles that's just beautiful. Mount Hood is the backdrop of this place, and it's just an incredible location. I ended up with the story grabbing me there and wouldn't let go, so that's what I chose to write on my screenplay.
So what's the hold of Dufur? Well, I mean, why does she take you there? Do you go have coffee?
Or, yes, or lunch or whatever.
Okay, so
I mean, there's
like
an old log cabin restaurant right
Okay.
across from a Queen Anne type hotel, old hotel there. In fact, I think I have a book signing already planned for that there.
Oh, how fun.
I ran into some people who knew the people who owned, so I'm excited. But it's Dufur is just an interesting location that hardly anyone has ever heard of. But it's so beautiful. It just, to me, it's Oregon. It kind of has a mix of both the valley that we have and then the ruggedness of the eastern side as well. So it's just kind of in the middle. But it's just a lovely location. And I wanted to do Appaloosa horses. And there's a bit of Chief Joseph history. I actually take the characters to Joseph.
Okay.
So there's a little Nez Perce tribe history. My hero is an Irish/Nez Perce fellow who lives in Dufur. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of an interesting mix. The young girl in Ireland kind of came through. I was a CD I was listening to had a little hint of that Irish music in there as I was driving back east. And Ireland grabbed on and would not let go. So I ended up putting some of the story in Ireland. So it kind of has starts in Dublin, and the character then goes to see her father in Oregon, and she has a serial killer that follows her, a little bit of murder mystery theme in there.
Intrigue. Now, what's the era
that would be in real time.
So
I didn't do the
modern.
historical like I did in Koenig's Wonder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that different?
Very different. It was much easier because
sure.
I didn't have to do all the research like I did with the other.
And you don't have to make sure that you don't say, and she got on her cell phone, because obviously back then they
There's
wouldn't
cell
have done
phones
that.
there. Yes, exactly. So it was a little easier to do that way. But I started the screenplay in 2004, and I didn't start adapting it until probably about 2 or 3 years ago. So it didn't take as long as Koenig's Wonder did.
So what made you decide to do the screen? I mean, you did the screenplay because you were in the class,
Right.
and then what made you decide to turn it into a book as well?
Well, I pitched the story to some producers in Hollywood at one of the conferences, and everyone I talked to suggested they wanted to see the book first, and I think they want to see it sell first.
Okay.
If it's a compelling enough story that it's selling books, then they may consider it as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows where it will go from there, but it'll be interesting to see.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you were saying that you've done some work at, did you say Patton?
Mm-hmm.
Patton Middle School?
Patton Middle School. Another writer, Heather Sharfadine, that lives here in McMinnville, and I did a collaborative workshop, writer's workshop with the kids. It was probably about 15 or 16 kids that we had that were from different English classes at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And we met on 2 different Fridays, and I took over the first day, which was the theme of the workshop was to try to get their short stories into the visual world, or to write visually.
Mm-hmm.
And that way they're adding more descriptives into their work, and because they're seeing it in their head as a movie type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we were both trying to imply, and also giving them a little more structure of writing short stories. We used a interesting Hemingway short story as our example, and it was just right on. We hadn't planned on everything that kind of came from that, but it was right on to what we were trying to do. So the kids were excited, and I hope they take that and run with it. So.
Yeah, what a great opportunity.
Oh, I love working with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of a job shadow program here in McMinnville all over the state really, but for the high school level. And I've had kids from high schools in Portland and here in Mac contact me if they're interested in a career as a writer.
Okay.
And job shadowing a writer would be a little boring because we do nothing but sit with our butts in chair for a long time type
Legs
of thing.
kicked up on the desk, drinking coffee, staring out the window.
Sometimes
Yeah.
can't get the words fast enough on the paper. You never
Mhm.
know. So I usually meet with them for about an hour, a couple hours, whatever they want for the question answer kind of thing, and hopefully inspire them to keep going forward. So.
I like the line from one of the writers. I don't know which one. It's something, just stare at the typewriter till blood starts to form or something. Blood drips out. You know, I like everything about writing except the paperwork.
I usually don't have that problem. That's one of the things I've never really run into.
You know, and that's amazing because a lot of
Oh.
people will say, "Oh, I've got all these great ideas, but when it comes time to just sit down and get them out, I just can't choke it out."
No.
So,
Well, and I think it's because of the technical writing I had done
Mhm.
and the organization I learned from that job.
right.
I'm able to pick a novel just about anywhere, whether it's in the middle, end, beginning, and start working at it. And then somehow it comes together. Don't ask me how, but it does sort of come together after that. But when I'm working on something, like I say, I start that very first draft, and that keeps me in track of where I'm wanting to take the story. And once I have that major first draft done, I use little notes to tell me where do I want to continue editing. You know, when I first started Koenig's Wonder, I'd pick it up, page 1, line 1. That was a really good line by the time I was done. But that's where I would start editing every time. I'd go back to the story, and I realized I can't do that anymore. I had to leave a marker somewhere where I was able to pick up and edit from there forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I'm stuck on something, I need some research, I don't know exactly what this character is going to say at this place, I'll put a highlight note or something like that I can search for in my word processor. I can't write longhand because I can't write fast enough. I get
And you get the cramp. Yeah.
I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a word processor that probably at one time was tested at 170 words a minute, but it's a matter of keeping it going to, I just have to. The thoughts are moving, so I just have to use I can't imagine writing with a typewriter anymore. Did that in my older typing days.
Mm-hmm. The word processor, I mean, the computer makes it so easy. You'll
So
even sort
much easier.
Yeah, spell check for you as you go along and all those good things. And
Yeah.
you were saying then that because your background is in marketing and that you're doing a lot of the promotion for the book yourself. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I wrote a little booklet called Shameless Marketing that I'm going to try and get on Kindle eventually here after I make some edit changes. Um, what I've found in marketing is a lot of the ability that I learned some of the salesmanship that my dad had. He was a car salesman.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I paid attention.
Cool.
He had repeat customers that were coming back every year, every 2 years to get a new car, and that was his business. But I learned a lot of the skills that he had of not being so shy of making cold calls, working with people in a short amount
Ask
of
for
time.
the sale.
That's it. Well, and I usually don't take no if I can help it. Not that I'm pushy about it, but if I go to a bookstore, like an independent bookstore that doesn't know me, and I have books on me, and they're like, well, I don't know. And I said, well, will you take them as a consignment? And then they're like, loaning out my babies because they are my
Sure,
babies,
of course.
basically. And I usually find a way to do something like that. And then they're at least on the shelf. And then I start telling people, go to that bookstore because they're there and that sort of thing. So I promote it that way as well. But I also do what I call the friend and family tour. So I let all my relatives and friends know I'm coming your way and I'm going to be there at such and such a date and time, and then try to work, like with Koenig's Wonder, I can't get the books out fast enough on a racetrack. They walk out so fast because of the marketing on that. Going to horse events and such because there's a big audience. But I found ways to sell books outside of the bookstore based on there's the genealogy side of it and writing your own memoir, but you can fictionalize. I always call it fact or fiction. I've done a lot of talks on that to senior centers and such. Just trying to get people to write is the main thing. But in the process, I'm doing lots of public appearances that way, and it's amazing the people I've met over the years of doing this. I love it.
That's great. So do you have obviously you've done some local promotion for your first work, and are you planning to do some local promotion for the second book?
Oh, totally.
But you're not there yet. This isn't really.
Well, no, this is still just a proof copy that I've
Okay.
received from the publisher, so I have to go through it one more time, last time, for edit changes. I know, read it again.
Crawl back through it.
And then once that's finished and I approve it, then we're off and running to print. So then
Okay.
I should have some, hopefully, end of June, first part of July, I may have some books.
That quick?
Yep,
Okay.
hopefully. Depends how long they take to get everything working and such. And I'm working on maybe doing a book trailer that I want to put on YouTube for this, so that's kind of exciting.
Okay.
So
what will that be? Will that be like people acting it out, or you reading it, or
it'll be
the girl in the red boots?
The girl in the red boots. I actually have an actress. Those are my red boots.
Oh, those are cute.
Yeah, I have an actress who is going to be my Shannon in the story, and I've got some friends that are willing to partake in things like the gallery opening show and such. So we can do some of those. Now, whether it'll be a movie or whether it'll be still shots, I haven't quite decided yet. So I'm still working on that.
That's kind of the fun part, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'm having so much fun, and everybody wants to be in it, of course.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the part that's social and festive, and after you've done all the lonely typing and editing and all that sort of thing, so then you get to do the promotion part, which is fun.
Exactly. Well, and that's part of the fun of marketing is I'm not afraid to do that. There's a lot of writers that they would prefer not to go in there. They wouldn't rather stay home and write than go to a bookstore and sign books or whatever. And I have no problem with that. But like I said, I think I learned that from Dad. So that's a lot of that.
Well, that's good. You got a nice outgoing personality to go along with your talent, and
thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you being on the show today. It's been a great opportunity to hear all about you and your process, and really appreciate that. Wish you a lot of success.
Thank you very much, Linda.